Hello, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I am Tina. So today, I am doing another one of my Indie April reviews. So when I was checking out my TBR for Indie April a few weeks ago, I was like, all the authors are dudes! I said, this will not stand. So while I had some books on my Kindle to check out, I decided to ask Twitter for suggestions, and they delivered a slew of suggestions. As such, I decided to read 3 novellas, and I'm reviewing all 3 of them here today. So let's get going. The first one I read was The Witch and the Wolf by L.V. Russell. This is a fantasy kind of fairy tale adaptation novella from 2021. I'm not usually one for fairy tale retellings. I find that they are kind of oversaturated in the market, but this very short novella was free, so I decided to check it out. The Witch and the Wolf is actually a beautifully written dark novella set in this fairy tale world of witches and fae creatures. So what is it about? Mother will always find me. Beneath the moonlight, Kara gathers poisons for the mother she cannot escape from. But what if there was more to life than the darkness she was raised in? Love is never for witches like Kara, and soon she must decide what her freedom is worth and what she is willing to sacrifice. After all, what are hearts for, if not for keeping behind glass? So this novella is really short. It's almost a short story, and I read it in one sitting, but it still manages to create a distinctive setting, interesting characters, and a plot that is a big red herring with a great twist on Red Riding Hood. The real star of the story that was the prose. While fairy tale retellings and fae stories are not my favorite type of fantasy, I'm more of like a grim, dark fantasy reader where there isn't a lot of magic. This one is written with such finesse, I very much enjoyed it. The concepts are familiar: a hermit-like witch with an abused daughter, and a forbidden love story. It reminded me a bit of the Decemberist album Hazards of Love in a way, possibly because the prose is so lovely. It's wonderfully descriptive and delightfully dark and foreboding. You spend the whole time under this kind of shadow of something bad going to happen. Now, I do have a feeling this novella is free as a way to drive readers to the author's longer work. And honestly, if I absolutely loved the subgenre of like fairy tale retelling kind of fantasy, I totally would have worked. If you love this type of fantasy, you should check this novella out. It's enchanting, and it was great as a one-off read as well. So the second novella that I read was Gateway by Crystal L. Kirkham. This is a sci-fi post-apocalyptic novella from Dark Brew Press. I didn't realize until after I'd read it that it is actually from a small press. It's not self-published, but whatever, I'm going to review it anyway. So a short novella with a great world building. Gateway sucks you in right from the start. What is it about? New Parish is a technological wonder in a land gone dark. War, famine, and disease have decimated much of the world. Only a few beacons of society remain. Technology is all they have left to rely on for survival. GLE is the corporation that keeps the people of New Parish alive by using trackers to find those who use or develop unapproved technology. They are chosen from orphans that are healthy enough to be able to survive the modding and forced to serve until the tech used to create them kills them. Lara is the youngest tracker ever created. Maybe that's why she's managed to live longer than anyone before her. Modded only 12 years old as an experiment, she managed to override the coding that kept her loyal to GLE and escape into the desolate wastelands outside of the New Parish bubble. Now at 17 years old, she needs to return to find her old friend the Butcher, who is capable of repairing an arm damaged in an altercation. She's ready to run as soon as she's fixed, but he wants her to help find out who is behind a new liquid tech drug called Gateway. She's got nothing left to lose since the tech is starting to do what everyone expected it to do, kill her, but the shocking truth that she uncovers might also save her life. One thing I usually have problems with when it comes to novellas is they tend to be story-focused rather than character-driven, given the shortness of the story, but this one did a great job characterizing Lara by her actions rather than internal monologue. It's very easy to see that she's smart and determined, but also young and still learning about life. There were a couple of side characters that are also well-developed and interesting. I liked all of them. I could have used a bit more time in the world, but then again, novellas do this sometimes. To me, I find that they don't give you enough sometimes. Now, the best thing about the novella is the world building. This novella manages to be a self-contained story while still creating a fully fleshed out world. The concept is a staple of the genre, functioning city within the wasteland, but the cyberpunk-esque aspects made it unique and fun. The story also moves at a great pace with a few twists and turns that I wasn't expecting. It's a lot of fun. In short, if you're looking for a quick, engaging post-apocalyptic novella, I definitely recommend Gateway. The last novella short story thing that I read for this Indie April Readathon is Owl Eyes Motel by Barbara Avon. This is a horror kind of thriller from 2021. It's part anthology, part cohesive story. It's an entrancing collection of interrelated tales. What's it about? The year is 1985. Oh yeah, my birth year. And there's a storm brewing. It's the kind that forces even the derelicts to retreat to their gutters. Each room is its own unique story, each chapter a room. Check in at Owl Eyes and stay a spell, won't you? There's always room for the dead. That is a very short blurb. I kind of like it. and it's quite evident by the second chapter what the story is about. Each segment details the story of a recently deceased person or people arriving at the hotel. They aren't aware they are dead, think Sixth Sense kind of in a way. And the motel is either a place where they are sent to be punished for their crimes or to admit their guilt. It's not entirely clear actually what the motel is doing. The grimness of each story would have been tiring after a while if it wasn't a novella, but for a short collection like this, it totally worked. Then again, some of the stories could have been longer. A few of them felt like just when I was starting to understand what their deal was, it ended. So I could have used a bit more beefing up in certain ones. Likewise, I could have used some more time with the staff to really cement the idea of the tortured soul hotel. I was curious as to what or who these people really were. Like, were they demons of some sort? Are they other people, like other souls? And whether the motel was a limbo or a hell or some other type of space. I wasn't sure if it was a transitory place or a permanent repetition of the manifestation of the people's guilt, or if it was some kind of punishment. While some readers might not care about that aspect, I wanted to know a bit more about the mechanisms of the hotel and how it functioned and what it was doing, and whether it existed within, like what kind of religion it existed within, or none at all, or what. I just found that it needed a bit more kind of depth in that regard for me to kind of really understand what the point of it was. Overall, though, it's enjoyable, quick read that's quick, and despite the repeated concept, it's not repetitive. It would be really fun to read on like a dreary, rainy night. So I do recommend it. Yeah, so those are the 3 novellas that I checked out. I have one more book to review for my Indie April, and that is coming out on Thursday, unless something crazy happens. And then it's on to May. And as I said in my last video, I have a very fun readathon I'm doing in May that I'm going to announce on, where's my chart? On like the 2nd or something next week. Anyway, thanks for watching and check out these novellas. They're pretty fun.